Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. Glad you're with us. We are talking with Tim Takacs, elder care lawyer, elder law. And I wanted to ask, one of the biggest mistakes you see when people come in, and maybe that's too harsh a way to put it, but what are some things you wish they had done when they come in that maybe will help all of us, we can learn from?
And that's a really good question, because it's really not, like you mentioned, Ben, it's not really mistakes that people make necessarily, but there are opportunities that maybe perhaps if they had come in a little earlier or at a different time, that the opportunities that they lost. Because a lot of what we do in our practices, and I've referred to it in the past as risk management, we think about, how do we make sure that you have certain risks that are out there for you that that maybe you can avoid by doing certain things or maybe not doing certain things. And one of those really involves married couples. So, for instance, the way I think about it sometimes is that you have people that come into you and they tell you that, well, my husband, he and I were married for 50 years and he died last year, 6 months ago or whatever it is. And, now I'm finding that I need more help at home or whatever, and that person, the spouse, or maybe the children and the spouse come in, and they're worried about, asset protection, all the other things that we've talked about, and it sometimes really breaks my heart, because if they had come in like 6 months before, when when both spouses were alive, that they perhaps lost an opportunity to do a plan, that would allow them to protect their estate for the benefit of the surviving spouse. So, and what I mean by that is that a plan can be put in place where, let's say the house is owned, like a lot of people is, as husband and wife. So you have one spouse who's not doing well, who's the sick spouse, and if he or she dies first, what you would like to see happen is that there would be a trust set up for the benefit of the surviving spouse, and that trust, that if it's done the right way, that trust is an asset protection trust for the surviving spouse, so that the surviving spouse can live in the house, stay in the house, and we want them to stay in the house as long as they can. But if in the future, that the house needs to be, let's say the surviving spouse, needs to get out of the house, go to maybe assisted living or worse, a nursing home, then the house is protected. It can't be touched by the nursing home or Medicaid.
I mean, basically,
or the government.
What you're saying is there are more opportunities for a married couple than if you come in when you're single. And I guess you sometimes see people that come in right after a spouse has died, and that means they have fewer opportunities than if they come in earlier.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's
and that's really what we, it's difficult sometimes to get the message out there. Fortunately, we're able to do that on this program and some of the other things that we, the education that we do. But if you're, with those types of opportunities, the cost benefit is really, I mean, basically the benefit is overwhelming for the couple. And frankly, when I think about it is, like a lot of us men, we figure we're going to die before our spouses. And so, my expectation would be is somewhere down the road, I may be, in that posture where, I may be a client of Takacs McGinnis, and go into there and say, look, I need to put a plan in place to protect, even though my wife would be in good health, how do we put a plan in place? So essentially is to take advantage of my death.
Right.
What's a good just time? An opportunity that I would be wasting.
What's a good time to start planning? I mean, what age? When do you
Well,
see
everybody
people?
needs an estate plan, because if you have an estate, you have an, you should have some, you should do something. And certainly, and I know I've said this many, many times, is that, when a person attains age 18, they become an adult, somebody should sit them down and say, okay, you need to make a power of attorney, naming your siblings or your parents or your spouse, if you're married, as your healthcare agent or your attorney in fact. Because disability can strike at any time, and someone needs to, and that's also a risk management tool, which is very inexpensive. I mean, a lot of the stuff you can pull off the internet, and sign it and get it done.
So that's basic. Okay, very good.
That's basic, and then as you marry, you get children, you get grandchildren, you develop, you have jobs, you got assets to protect. Now you're looking at, okay, what do I have to protect and what do I have to lose? And how do I plan this? And let's be positive about it. It's not about trying to lose things. It's about getting out and, and making sure that that you have a good and happy life, and that, that you get the benefit of what you worked for and what you've earned for. And sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't, but how do we maximize those chances for you?
Yeah.
That's what we want for our clients.
And in the final minute,
we can do that.
Well, yeah, in the final minute, what do you want people to take away? The final sort of advice you want to give them in this last minute here.
The last minute is that, for one, is that, start planning early. Certainly, make sure you try to stay in good health. Work as long as you're able to or feel like you're able to. As I said, is that have a good and happy life. And that's pretty darn good advice.
I agree.
That keeps you healthy.
I agree.
That keeps you healthy.
Yeah, you're right. And
then plan for the worst and hope for the best is what we say.
Very good.
If you do that,
well, Tim,
then you're good.
Tim, thank you so much for coming on. It's always fun to have you on, and you have been coming on a long time, 1 or 2 years. So
yeah, at least.
Yeah, 1 or 2. Thanks for coming on, Tim. We will take a break. We'll come back. We'll have all the information for Takacs McGinnis and how to contact you if you have more questions. But we'll take a break. Be back right after this.